Hello, hello. This is day 2 of the Hincapie Crit Series. This is a pretty straightforward one. It's a Cat 4-5 race. Managed to win yesterday and come out with a win again today. This actually secured my slot up into Cat 3. I've honestly been kind of scared about upgrading to Cat 3 because I saw how brutal the 1-2-3 race was yesterday. But after 2-4-5 wins in a row, I think I'm not really going to get much better by racing at this level. I've only got about a dozen crit races under my belt so far, so it's probably part of the reason for my hesitation. I don't feel super confident in my tactics, timing, crit abilities, but the only way you get better is if you can compete against some stronger competition. But I just wanted to give some insight into how this race went for me. I think there's going to be some pretty fun video up until the point where it's effectively a two-man breakaway between me and Kyle for the last 15 or so minutes. But it was a fun race. The wind was a lot gentler than yesterday, but this course, they flipped the direction on us, so that was a fun way to adjust to the reverse direction. It took about 3 or 4 laps before everybody kind of started to feel comfortable with the new direction here. Just to kind of set the stage for some of the factors for today's course, there were about 30 riders who showed up, and the wind, although it was a little bit gentler than yesterday, it wasn't something to disregard. It was about 8 to 10 miles an hour from west to east, so it wasn't going to be something that would break a rider off, but every factor should be considered in a race. Every watt saved can help contribute to the outcome. So this isn't even the first lap, and we've already got a little bit of gaps opening up. My personal style of racing, a little theme for me, is I always feel like I'm a bigger rider, and I don't like hills very much. So if I can take them as steady as possible, keep my power up nice and steady, I think this is really early in the race. I don't want to let these guys get too far away, but I'm also not in any rush to close this gap down. I think there's enough power in the field behind me that if I kind of do this pseudo aerobic pace, this is going to come back. I take downhills very aggressively and very fast, so I'm not worried just yet. Especially because as we come around this left-hand corner after the finish line, we go directly into a soft headwind. And as soon as the field kind of hits it, I notice that they tend to just kind of back off. And as you can see, we've got this guy in a black kit starting to close the gap, so I'm going to hop in on the train here, and as soon as we get to the hairpin turn, kind of use my weight to my advantage and pick up speed and catch up to those guys who did that pseudo breakaway. As soon as we hit this uphill, everybody starts coming back together. We're not even a couple minutes into this race. We've already got guys jumping out of the saddle to kind of slam up the hill. And I am in no way threatened by this. I just feel like, with 25 motivated riders in the back, there's not going to be any breakaways forming right away unless it's a really motivated and coordinated group. So one of the tells for me is right away, how spaced out are the people who are sprinting ahead of you. If they're look kind of like they're not really falling in line with each other right away, not really something to be worried about. So on this kind of false flat section, I'm just going to keep my tempo, keep a nice steady power output. I don't mind giving up a few positions here because I know we're going to go right immediately into that headwind where we kind of just get a nice good draft, and then I'll take that hairpin turn as fast as I can and get some speed on the downhill. I will admit, though, that allowing myself to get shuffled back that far wasn't so great for that hairpin because I like to take my corners really hard. I'm fairly good at my bike handling. So when I have to slow down for other people to take that corner, it just kind of sets me back a little bit, right? I can't carry quite as much momentum as I could into the downhill. But even so, I think just sitting in the general draft of the peloton, even if we're not really strung out like necessarily a much faster field would be, it's really easy to move up, even if you're not in the best position here. So as you can see, we're already kind of bunching up a little bit. This would be a really easy spot for a more lightweight rider to kind of attack and put some pressure on some of us bigger guys, but that didn't really happen. A little bit about me. I'm a long-time triathlete, the better part of 10 years or so I've got a good aerobic base built up over the years, but last year I really started getting into crits a lot more seriously, so I'm starting to work on my sprint power a little bit. But my preferred race tactic by far is a nice good breakaway. I tend to do really well when the race is hard the whole time. And I've raced the Hincapie crits here. I've raced a couple of the Mac racing series here at Rock Hill a couple times. And one thing that I know about the field, especially the 4-5 field, is that everybody loves to kind of be a little squirrely. They've got really that nervous energy going into this race. So at the first couple laps are not really the ideal time to put in good attacks because it's always going to get chased back, almost no matter what the circumstances. So pretty much the entire time I'm looking for a good opportunity to try and get a breakaway going. If I can put in a nice long diesel attack, I'd be willing to commit to it as long as I know the other person or persons are. Ideally, for a field of about 30 and this course profile, I think it would probably take about 4, maybe 5 riders who are motivated and well coordinated to get away. Largely because as you go into that headwind right after the finishing box, that slows you down a lot, and your draft is extended out pretty far, making it really easy to be kind of like a carrot on a stick that can get a pack to chase you. You go into that hairpin downhill, and unless you take it quick, unless you keep the pressure on going downhill, you can't take a break. So going right into the uphill, just this course layout in general makes a breakaway kind of hard to stick. But that's what I'm looking for. go. About 13 minutes into this race, we get a couple guys who look like they're, fairly strong riders. They seem to be riding on each other's wheels pretty well. But we're not really snapping hard enough to break off the peloton. But I did want to latch on and make sure to see if there's an opportunity for a breakaway. I think this might be a good one. So I try and take this headwood section pretty hard, kind of advertising like, hey, I'm going to work hard if you all want to do a nice break. But I didn't really sprint. I didn't want to catch them off guard. But if they're willing to latch on, I was going to kind of throttle it up, especially on this downhill part. This is it. I think I've got some shouting coming up from behind. So, we have a guy that comes and attacks over the top, and I think this is a great opportunity to try and put some separation in the field. Each lap, most of the peloton just kind of balloons out as soon as the road starts turning up. So, by virtue of me taking the downhill kind of relatively fast, this guy came up over the top. I thought this was a really good attack to try and put some pain on the riders in the back. Ultimately, though, it didn't work. We had some motivated riders who hit it over the top. They were able to pull over and kind of reabsorb me, the two blue riders. And here it kind of looks like I'm eating a lot of wind, but it's not as bad as it looks. Because keep in mind the wind is going from west to east, so as we gear up to go into this next corner, this is kind of where the wind starts to hit me, but I've moved up a lot for free. And then the peloton on us starts moving over in front of me, so I kind of got a nice little lucky break here. They set me up really well to kind of slot right back in to the front five riders or so. Yeah, each time we hit that downhill, I got into a nice little super tuck that wasn't quite a super tuck. My hands are still on my bars, but I arc my back so that I'm lying below horizontal. I'm going 33, 34 miles an hour, pushing absolutely 0 watts. So when you've got other riders, eating the headwind for you, you can kind of just surf right through their draft and move right back up to the front. Yeah, so that's my pattern for most of the race. Is I do this the sag climb kind of thing coming up the hill because I pick up all the speed on the downhill, move up to the front, and I got a nice steady power output. A lot of the riders who want to just jam up the hill get really impatient, kind of come around me. So I've got a really nice wall of guys right in front of me right now. Oh, hey, we got a flyer. He's really putting in a deep dig on this one. But if you can hear the chatter, he says, look at that number flapping. So absolutely nobody wants to chase. He's putting in a lot of work, and there's no way that was sustainable. And on a course like this, he's going to get brought back. That hill, there's no way a solo rider can break away unless they're just absolutely inhuman. Which might be the case if someone's just really sandbagging out here. But it's not very threatening to anybody.
if you want.
I look back at this point, you know, we took the downhill fast enough that, you know, we were going to be able to put in a gap and potentially start a breakaway. So I'm just trying to coordinate with some people out here who might be interested in those same goals. Everybody in the field at this point is saying, like, yeah, you know, they're probably not going to make it. Let's just keep them on a leash, let them burn out. And I was thinking it, and I guarantee you everybody else is thinking it. If we're going to be really punishing, as soon as they start to fade a little bit, that we would just start accelerating and just try and throw them off the back. I think if they worked together a little bit more smoothly on the rotation, they probably could have kept away for a decently long amount of time. However, I think the motivation was just too high. I think the energy was too high. The race wasn't particularly fast up until this point, so most riders aren't exactly on the rivets just yet. So throwing in a breakaway, you know, would have to have a separation that puts you out of the peloton's sight, you know, almost immediately. Otherwise, it was pretty much doomed. Guy in the orange kit here comes up over the top of me, and he tried to break away with me earlier, so I know he's willing to roll the dice with me on this. So this is something that I'm willing to commit to. As we come up over the top of the hill, it's really important to keep the pressure on, because a lot of the peloton likes to back up, especially as we get across the judge's box. And this breakaway looks good. You know, putting in that little dig earlier to shake those two blue riders off when we're coming over the top of them was the move to make. right as we get to the bottom of the hill, it starts to get really important to make sure that our coordination's on point. A bigger moving body, about the 20 riders or so that are left in the peloton, is going to have a much larger aerodynamic benefit as they go down the hill, and more momentum in total to carry up the hill. So, this potential breakaway group has to keep the speed really high in order to have any chance of success.
All right,
I think particularly for a cyclist who have never really worked together before, it's really important to have at least that one voice of authority, and if nobody else is willing to do it, you've got to do it. If you don't, there's just going to be that much more likely that people are just really disorganized. So if you can kind of control when people push and when people pull off, you can use your rider characteristics to kind of dictate when you're going to be doing the pulling, and that goes to your benefit. However, as we crested the top of the hill, we lost the other two guys that broke away with us. So they got us a really good gap in the peloton, and all that's left is me and Kyle. And Kyle and I have raced before, and I know he's a really good cyclist. And so at this point, I'm asking, hey man, we've got 6 laps left. Can you do this? Because we're averaging about 2.5 minutes per lap, so that's about 15 minutes of threshold effort. And we had to keep the average pace at or above 25 miles an hour, because that was kind of what we were doing when we were in the peloton.
We got this!
Oh, never mind. We've got a third rider. He hasn't dropped off just yet, but sorry for the spoiler alert. He will. This is a really encouraging part of the course, because right after the hairpin, you can take a quick look to the right and see exactly how much time you have to work with.
More, come on. Fall off inside, I got it. You and me, you think we can do it? Yep. All right.
I run rotor Q rings, and I've never been able to get the derailleur adjustment just spot on. So that little grinding noise that you hear, that's actually coming from my front derailleur. I can't hear it when I'm on the bike, and I can't hear it when I'm spinning the cranks on the bike stand. But I guess when there's torque up on the cranks, that puts just enough twist into the system as a whole to get some rub in on the derailleur. I don't know if I'm losing very many, if any, watts to this. The camera picks up the noise pretty well, but I don't think it really causes that much resistance, hopefully. All right, and that's all she wrote. You know, at this point, for the rest of the clip, I'm just going to let it run. But Kyle and I pretty much just do a 2-man time trial. You know, for the rest of the course, we, you know, take a lap or two and try and figure out what works best for our preferences on like who's going to pull and when. But this is probably the cleanest breakaway that I've ever had with anybody before. And honestly, Kyle, it's been a pleasure to ride with you, dude. You know, I'm looking forward to when you cat up. You've got the points, you've got the engine for it. So I'll be waiting for you at the next couple races, bud.
All right. Sorry. You're good. Shorter pulls. Inside. take the corner, I'll take you down. take the corner, I'll take you downhill.
Yep.
All right. We're doing good. Let's keep it up, we can make it. Yeah. Bottom of the hill. I'm not your friend anymore. We got this.